Good morning and welcome to Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. My name is Merciful Ajinamo. You're welcome to the show this morning, and joining us to analyze some stories on the front pages of the national dailies is Mr. Adebayo Fajimi. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a couple of stories this morning. Let's begin from the Daily Trust newspaper. The banner headline there says, tour operators, airlines count losses as Saudi bans Nigeria. We have three riders. The first are plans disrupted coming from passengers. Resigned travel bans, IATA tells government. WHO warns against discriminatory travel bans, says Omicron now in 57 countries. Yes, we do know that people have been saying the ban on some countries are kind of discriminatory. Talking about the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. And now we are seeing many countries have actually banned Nigeria. What's your reaction to this story?
I think it is not too good for developed part of the world, to be, putting on imposing ban on Nigeria and a couple of African countries or other African countries. Because even if you look at it, from the scratch, the first three cases that were discovered in Nigeria shows that these people, came from the UK, not people coming from, it's not as if the virus is being imported or being taken to the UK.
Nigeria.
So, and if you look at, the inequality in vaccine distribution or the fight, in containing this pandemic, especially in developing part of the world, it's not strong enough. The force is not enough, and so we have had people, stakeholders, talking, here and there. You see WHO saying developed part of the world should help poor country, in this distribution, so as to ensure that people have access to this vaccine. Because some people, some countries, some richer country really have this thing, but they are not willing to share it. And at the end of the day, so we see another variant, and the next thing you could do is just be banning people and all of that. So it is not good enough. I think what they should have done is to look for better way to help Africa to ensure that this virus, especially this variant, do not consume more. So it is not good enough. I think they should have a rethink and see how they can better help African nations to ensure that they critically fight these variants, especially the pandemic, so that everybody lives at peace. Okay,
still on the Daily Trust newspaper, we see from the very top there, finance bill, compulsory tax ID for bank customers. That's coming on page 20 of the Daily Trust. And UBA seizes ADC's 60% equity as Buhari denies role. Then we see banditry, 23 buried as Sokoto leaders write Buhari. You can get our story on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Yes, we saw this story. 23 buried as Sokoto leaders write Buhari. And we know of the fight, the constant worry and fight towards the issue of insecurity, especially in the Northeast. What do you make of this particular story? Having this large number of people buried in one day.
Well, it is still very pathetic, even though the fight against banditry. Thank God that the federal government, the court has given the federal government, what's it called, the wherewithal to declare banditry as terrorist or terrorism. But even though the fight, is still ongoing, so we just need to appeal to government to strengthen the fight to ensure that, this thing, is reduced to the barest minimum. Terrorism is a global pandemic now. It is all over the world. But at least government should, be able to do better, because there is no way you will be seeing mass burial every now and then, and people will just keep mum, and you don't expect them, to say anything. People will be worried. So I think what government needs to do is to please, do something strategic to ensure that at least people have respite from this crisis. So if people are being killed every now and then, you don't expect them to keep mum and to say nothing. So government should please do better, so that this crisis, this problem, is reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay, we see still on the Daily Trust newspaper there, enough of attacks on judiciary officers. That's coming from the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And then we move over quickly to the Daily Times newspaper. The banner headline there is, stop embarrassing judicial officers, CGN wants security operatives, says silence of judiciary should never be mistaken for stupidity or weakness, pledges that judiciary will resist clandestine attempt to silence or ridicule it to oblivion, charge invaders of justice, orderly residents to court. Body of senior advocates tells Inspector General of Police. They can get our story on the Daily Times. And from the very top there, we see at last, AETO stops oil leakage at Bayelsa wellhead. Of course, that story is found on page 2 of the Daily Times. And then attacks on constructed facilities. I won't resign. That's coming from Aregbe Shola. We can get out on page 2 of the Daily Times. Aregbe Shola is saying he won't resign because this is following the call from members of his state that he should step down. What do you take of his statement? Like he's re-emphasizing the fact that he's not stepping out or he's not going anywhere despite what is happening in that state.
I think what's playing out here is that people expect more than what they are seeing from him, and that is a call of leadership. Having said that, I think if you look at the cost of justice in Nigeria, I think is the major problem that we are seeing here. Is the root cause of the issue, because on Monday the federal government launched a virtual court, in correctional center, yes, in correctional facility in Kuje in Abuja here, and according to the Minister, Interior and Attorney General of the Federation, they say that this will fast make the course of justice, especially for those people, because according to him, he said one of the reasons why we are experiencing this is because some criminal-minded in correctional centers who are unable to access justice, they are the ones who are perpetrating this act. And of course, if you look at our system, especially in the correctional, sector facilities, yes, you have very many people who are just awaiting trials, justice, and they are just abandoned. And if you have people, who are not being tried, and they are not being accused, you expect something like this. So I think what they have done on Monday, I think it should spread across all the states of the federation, and they should be very strategic about it, so that whoever is awaiting trial, should get whatever it should get, and you just know the fate or whatever is awaiting that person, rather than just keeping people there, abandon them doing nothing. So I think that will solve the problem to a large extent. So resigning is not the issue, but I think what people just is that what is coming from people is that they expect so much from him, and he should, as as a leader in that sector, should rise to the responsibility and do what is expected of him. Okay,
we see that particular story on the banner headline of the Nigerian News Direct. Of course, it's saying 15 incidents of jailbreaks. Aregbe Shola is saying, I have no reason to resign. We can get our story on page 23 of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. And then we see Dambata says there's strategic plan to address infrastructure deficit in the telecom sector. That can be found on page 2. And from the very top there, we see Nigeria's low tax GDP ratio poses challenges, coming from the Senate President. On the Nation newspaper, the banner headline there is Army Chief, repentant Boko Haram fighters not sincere. We have a couple of riders there. The first, ECOWAS worried over spread of terrorism. And the second, terrorist bandits using radio frequency spectrum illegally. And we can get that on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. And then we see Finance Bill 2021 tips FIRS as sole tax collector. Twitter, Facebook, others to pay taxes. And then TIN, the compulsory to operate bank account. You can get that on page 5. From the very top here, we see why 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines expired by minister. The minister is saying that. You can get the details of that on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. But don't forget to also stay updated on our website on www.tostvnetwork.com, and of course our social media platforms are there, so you can follow and stay updated on happenings in Nigeria and of course across Africa. My name is Merciful Ajinomo. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the Nigeria Now segment of the show this time. Again, we'll see you tomorrow and have a wonderful day.